Hi everyone. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Pinzgau region, a true gem right in the heart of the Austrian Alps. Over the next minutes, I will give an overview on topics such as overall introduction, what and where Pinzgau is, why travel to Pinzgau. I'll give a brief tour to some of the top activities, meaning what you can do in Pinzgau, as well as some of the top recommendations. Of course, the must-sees, but also my own tips of actual places to visit or tours I can recommend. And as last, I would like to share some practical tips and information, how to reach the area, understanding the mountains, when to travel, and so on to find out how to make most out of your time in the region. Later, there will be separate videos on these as well as additional topics, such as day trips to Salzburg, Innsbruck, and other surrounding destinations. And occasionally there might even be videos from things further away, so remember to subscribe and check the channel later on. However, this video should work as a first touch to give you a starting point to the region. Pinzgau is a region in Austria, namely in the federal state of Salzburg. Area-wise, it is actually the same as the administrative district of Zell am See. So if you roughly know where the specific Zell is, you know where Pinzgau is as a region. More specifically, it is bordered by Tyrol, that is, Austrian state of Tyrol encompassing the North Tyrol and Osttyrol to the west and south, and Italian autonomous province of Südtirol to the extreme southwest. Then the German state of Bayern to the north, the neighboring Salzburgian district of Pongau to the east, and finally Austrian state of Kärnten also to the south. As any terrain or satellite picture will tell, Pinzgau is a very mountainous region, located right on the northern side of the main alpine ridge, which holds also plenty of so-called 3000ers, which means the peaks that are higher than 3000 meters above sea level. It is shaped by the two main regional rivers, Salzach and Saalach, which combine later in the city of Salzburg itself. Going further, this combined Salzach joins the river Inn coming from Innsbruck, which in turn joins Danube, passes Vienna and many other cities, and later all these waters end up in the Black Sea. In addition to the main rivers, there are numerous side rivers and valleys, especially the so-called Tauentäler, which means the valleys of the Hohe Tauern mountain range and the national park with the same name. These valleys and side valleys are an absolute must for the outdoor lovers, especially in the summer to autumn hiking season. I'll give some insights into how to reach the area later in the practical part of this video. However, it is good to know that despite its central location, the name Pinzgau itself, or the smaller towns and municipalities of it, are not very well recognized. At least in my opinion, nowhere near as well known as the state capital city of Salzburg, the neighboring state of Tyrol, or its destinations, or even the main touristic locations within the region itself, such as Zell am See, Kaprun, or Krimml. Make no mistake, the whole area is certainly worthy of knowing and visiting, so let's get you familiarized with Pinzgau. Of course, this video is not long enough to cover everything, but it will provide a starting point to discover more, regardless of if this discovery takes place through videos from me or from others, internet sources, or more traditional guidebooks and tourist offices. Moving forward in this video though, let's focus to the main point, to give some ideas why exactly should you travel to Pinzgau. While there are plenty of things to enjoy, like local events, restaurants, museums, idyllic town centers, and so on, I will start here with the main thing, the great outdoors. That is the reason to come here, and exactly so, pretty much all of my top things link to nature. No wonder, as there is plenty of just that here. From short distance and leisure sightseeing to long distance and mountain conquering, there is something for everyone. My recommendation is to get to the higher ground. How high and how straining depends on you. Most of the skiing areas, which we will cover later, operate some lifts in the summer for the hikers too, so reaching higher places is possible also without exhausting yourself if you prefer it that way. Like here, the pictures from Wildkogel in Bramberg Neukirchen, here from Reste Höhe in Mittersill Hollersbach, and here from Weisse in Uttendorf. They all can be reached with gondolas comfortably and easily. But even without lifts, you can reach scenic places quite easily if you wish, as you can see in the pictures from Leogang, which was just a couple of kilometers of total hiking, and likewise here in Hintertal in Maria Alm. And in addition, there are some possibilities to go with something called the mountain taxis. They can take you to some mountain huts or alms with ease. This was an interesting experience for me a few years back when visiting the Krimml Achental, the river valley above the Krimml waterfalls. The taxi went all the way to the end of the road to around 1,800 meters high, from where it was easier to reach an overnight stay in the Warnsdorfer Hütte before hiking higher to the edge of the glaciers. As most valley roads are closed from public traffic, and certainly I would not recommend trying them with a regular car in any case, this can be an easy way to save some energy for the further hikes in the valleys and national park areas. Sometimes, instead of going up, you might actually want to go deep. That is, visiting a gorge or a canyon, a clam. For example, it can be especially refreshing in a hot day, like here in Sigmund Thun Clam in Kaprun, and here in Kitzloch Clam in Taxenbach. Now, from the gorges, we get a nice step forward, because when mentioning water, no list of things to see in Pinzgau would be complete without the Krimml waterfalls, where immense amounts of water fall a total of 380 meters in 3 steps. What you see in here is only from the latter parts, but you can hike all the way alongside the waterfalls roaring next to you. You might have already seen that there are some hikes in this channel, and in general they tend to be from the easy or middle levels. As I am not a hardcore sportsman and neither was I born on the mountains, rather on the flatlands instead, so they are in general doable for most people, although of course length and time might vary quite a bit. And sometimes you do need some sure-footedness here and there, but still there's plenty of scenic places to enjoy. Biking. Again, there is something for everyone, regardless of if it is mountain, gravel, road, trekking, or downhill variety of biking. Personally, I do trekking and mountain biking, although of the latter in a less skill requiring way, so pretty much everything in my videos can be done with a gravel bike too. Some highlights of these tours I have made are the Hochsonberg Alm and Schmittenhöhe area in Piesendorf and Zell am See, Restehöhe 2000 in Mittersill area until Mühlbach in Bramberg, late autumn ride to Hollersbachtal, one of the valleys of the Hohe Tauern National Park, and the Steinberg-Runde around Lofer and Leogang mountains. Also, it can be very enjoyable and a bit lighter to bicycle along the main river valleys. Both Salzach and Saalach tend to descend slowly and have good connections alongside. Both rivers belong to Tauenradweg bicycle route, which basically covers the whole length of Salzach River and also includes the Saalach as a variant of the overall route. These are very doable with all kinds of bikes, including city bikes. When talking about biking, one must also mention Saalbach-Hinterglemm Leogang Fieberbrunn, the largest biking area in Austria. As I do not do trail downhill biking myself, my experiences here have so far been a bit limited. But as there are plenty of well-serviced alms and gravel routes there, rest assured that there will be some videos from this area also appearing in the channel later. And if downhill trails are your interest, you will find a lot of downhill trail videos from this region if you search a bit. All trails with the curves, drops, and such with the wonderful mountain backgrounds. Naturally, there are plenty of marked routes elsewhere too. There exist also some smaller bike parks and pump tracks in the area, such as this one in Mittersill. So in the end, you are very likely to find something that is of your interest. Let's continue to the next thing, skiing and overall winter activities. Now, this is how everything started. Alpine skiing is the single largest attractor for the area, and for a good reason, as you really can do it all here. On slopes, off-piste, ski touring, snowboarding, all kinds of possibilities exist, and the infrastructure is in great shape. Depending on how you count it, there are around 10 skiing areas in Pinzgau, some of which are shared with the bordering neighbors. So all in all, there is plenty to choose from. The largest areas are Saalbach-Hinterglemm, Leogang, Fieberbrunn, Kids ski starting from Mittersill, continuing to Kitzbühel and Kirchberg, followed by Zillertal Arena, which starts from Krimml and Wald, Hochkönig, onwards from Maria Alm and Dienten, and Wildkogel in Neukirchen and Bramberg. But size is not what matters. They all have their strong points. For example, Schmittenhöhe in Zell am See is close to the city and shares tickets with Kitzsteinhorn and Maishofen in Kaprun, so you can go to ski directly from the city center as well as go to the glacier skiing area around 3,000 meters high. With snow, there comes other types of snow fun too. For example, you can go to snowshoeing or have otherwise winter walks in the forests. Or if you like Nordic skiing, it is also doable, like here in the Hochmoorloipe in Mittersill. If you enjoy some winter toboggan runs, that is possible too, like here at Wildkogel and Bramberg, the world's longest fully lit toboggan run, which, by the way, serves as a mountain cart in the summertime. But now we are getting carried over from winter to summer again, so let's reverse and enjoy a couple more winter pictures. Regardless of your preferences, there is a lot to offer also on this front. The options don't stop in the aforementioned activities. As a touristic region, there is plenty of more possibilities, and what you want to do naturally depends on you. I will not try to cover everything, but here is a couple more what might interest you. If you have the head for it, climbing, rafting, paragliding, solo or tandem are possible here. If you are interested in swimming, it is good to know that almost every municipality has some sort of outdoor swimming possibility, either by having an outdoor swimming center with pools or having a badesee, a small pond made for swimming and sunbathing activities. Additionally, there are indoor swimming halls and spa options, like the Tauern Spa in Kaprun. For golfers, there are several options also to do your rounds. Naturally, they are located in the valleys, with the mountains providing a background scenery to enjoy. Museum selection is also quite good. The museums themselves tend to be small and focused to one or two things. A good example of this is the National Park Center in Mittersill, focused to the Hohe Tauern Mountains. Or the Bramberg Museum, which exhibits precious stones from the local Tauern valleys. This museum is also set up in traditional houses, so it also offers a bit of an open-air museum experience at the same time. And mentioning of the precious stones, you could also try your luck to search those emeralds from Habachtal in Bramberg or gold from Rauris Valley. You can also reach scenic places by car. Later in this video, there is a map provided for how to reach Pinzgau, and I've marked also some easy access scenic arrival routes. But if you're willing to drive some smaller roads, you can also drive to places with a view, such as Mitterberg in Tumesbach, Zell am See, and many other places. One thing to consider is also the high mountain reservoirs Stauseen of the area. Especially known are the Kaprun ones, Kaprun Stauseen, which are also on the top of my own to-do list. But additionally worth mentioning are the two reservoirs located in the upper Stubachtal valley in Uttendorf. The Weissee gondolas can take you to the area where you can also have some nice hikes. Any travel guide to Austria would also be lacking if not mentioning the markets, especially the Christmas markets. These are great places to catch a little local charm, spot some handicraft items, as well as local dessert specialties. In addition, there are other seasonal markets, but also festivals taking place, be it the Strudelfest or other, so you better keep your eyes open for these too. As the darker time is longer in the autumn, winter, spring seasons, you might want to consider also stargazing or photographing. Ability to go higher, have clean air, and less light pollution combined with the snow-topped mountains create imposing sceneries for pictures or time-lapse videos, if you have the right equipment. Mine is quite basic, but still gives a hint of it for you. As a final word here, I also encourage to just explore and stumble upon random things here and there. For example, Hollersbach has a small free-to-visit herbal garden. Uttendorf's Celtic village shows how people lived here a long time ago. And of course, the idyllic town centers are worth seeing too. To reach Pinzgau, independent from tour operators, the most common possibility is with the car. Depending on your destination, you can arrive using the main routes like from Inntal Highway via St. Johann in Tyrol, Kitzbühel direction, towards Saalfelden or Mittersill, from Salzburg and Bad Reichenhall towards Lofer and Saalfelden, or from Tauern Highway via St. Johann in Pongau towards Zell am See, or Bischofshofen towards Marialm and Saalfelden. From Lienz via Felbetauern Road towards Mittersill, and from Zell am Sille in Zilletal towards Krimml and Mittersill. Additionally, you could also enter using the high alpine panorama road of Großglockner, although for most people, driving through it is rather a day trip destination of its own. Please also note that the Felbetauern Road, Gallows Pass from Zilletal, and of course the Großglockner Road have sections which have road tolls. The cost for Felbetauern and Zilletal are somewhere around €1,000 per car, while Großglockner as a tourist attraction costs much more, around €40 or so. Also, using Austrian highways has a road tax in form of a vignette. Pinzgau itself does not have highways, but this is especially noteworthy if you arrive through the Tauern Autobahn. Arriving from Germany via Inntal Highway is free of road tax until the Felbetauern Road exit in south of Kufstein. In addition to these roads, there are normally also slower local road alternatives outside highways, which are free from costs, but there might be occasionally limitations on their usage. Public transport is possible, especially with the train connections coming to Saalfelden and Zell am See from direction of Wörgl, for example when coming from München or Innsbruck, or from direction of Schwarzach if coming from Salzburg, Linz, Vienna, or from Klagenfurt and Villach in Kärnten. Inside Pinzgau, in addition to the main train line, there is a Pinzgaubahn, a local railway from Zell am See to Mittersill and further to Krimml, as well as bus connections along the main valleys, town centers, and skiing areas. To understand the region, you need to understand the mountains. While this is naturally a very large topic, I will just give a brief idea of what types of mountains to expect. I'll divide here the main parts into roughly 3 categories. Grass mountains, Grasberge, in the center, including parts of Kitzbühler Alps and Salzburger Schieferalpen, Slate Alps, stony limestone Alps, Kalkalpen or Steinberge, mostly on the north, including Lofer and Leogang Steinernen Meer, and parts of the Hochkönig massif. The northernmost mountains are part of the Chiemgauer and due to mixing of different layers is a bit trickier to categorize, but I have grouped it here for simplicity. Mountains of the Central Alpine Ridge, Zentralalpen, are located on the southern side of Pinzgau, including the Hohetauen National Park mountains as well as parts of the Zillertal Alps. How do these mountain areas compare in height? Let's see the peak heights for each of them. In the Grass Mountains, you can expect peaks to reach somewhere between 1,700 to 2,300 meters, with the highest peak inside Pinzgau being the Salzach-Hinterglemm, 2,466 meters. In the Limestone Mountains, there is plenty of variety, but they tend to go from around 2,000 meters to 2,600 meters, with the highest peak inside Pinzgau being Hohe Kopf, 2,875 meters. In the Central Alps, you can reach the highest areas. Peaks go from 2,500 meters on the outer rim to up to 3,500 meters high in the central areas. The overall highest peak inside Pinzgau being the Großvenediger, 3,657 meters. The highest peak of Austria, the Großglockner, is just a couple of kilometers outside the Pinzgau borders. And here is also the valley level in comparison to the mountains. I have simplified it here to around 750 meters, which is the level of the Zell city itself. Irrespective of the heights, all of these have their own strong points and offer unique mountain experiences. Beside the measurable heights, there are no clear winners here. Each mountain type and range are worth the recommendation and a thumbs up, if you will. To put it simple, the Grass Mountains are a bit more rounded and somewhat lower, but are absolutely not to be looked down on. These mountains are, well, dominated by grass and very beautiful and often rolling gently, which makes them simply the best in terms of outdoor activities, skiing, hiking, biking, and so on. In fact, almost all of the skiing areas are located here, and the gondolas and route networks on these mountains are fantastic. Moving forward to the Limestone Alps. Limestone erodes relatively fast, thus, when going higher, the stone is often very visible. This makes them look impressive, the very picture of mountains when you think of them, and as such, make great backgrounds for any picture from your hikes. And finally, the main alpine ridge is the home to the mightiest peaks and deep idyllic valleys, which often lead to the glacier formations at their ends. These offer a lot of variety, but also plenty of challenges for those who seek such. These mountains require more respect, but luckily for most, there are also some places where you can reach conveniently with gondolas and cars without hours of hiking. Regardless of which are your particular interest, they are all available for you to explore in Pinzgau. Tourism season in Pinzgau follows the weather seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn, with all having their peak times but also less busy times. To put it short, winter and summer have higher number of visitors as well as available services, while between seasons, spring and autumn, things are a little bit less touristic and can have somewhat reduced level of services available, meaning that some restaurants or rental services can be closed and there are less options to get to the mountains with gondolas. During the winter season, tourist activity increases towards the Christmas and the New Year, then calming down a bit but still having a very high demand well until the end of March. During this time, there is a couple additional peak times, one when there are the school holidays in Austria and Germany, and another one around Easter, which often coincides with the slowing down of the winter season. In spring, it is in general quieter. If the weathers are good, skiing may continue a bit longer here and there, and additionally, there can also be some longer weekend possibilities in May due to a series of public holidays. Still, in general, many businesses hold their breaks from main seasons during this time, especially around end April to mid-May. The summer season is again a hotspot, especially the Central European holiday months of July and August. It certainly can get crowded. Still, as the original high tourism season is winter, You can also find quieter places and accommodations even during this time. Towards the end of summer and the beginning of autumn, the hiking season is going strong until mid-October. However, further into the autumn, and especially in November and beginning of December, it tends to be again an off-season, and for businesses, a chance to catch a breath before the winter season starts again. From a shopping perspective, it is good to understand that there are no real shopping centers here. Some places in Saalfelden and Zell resemble these a bit, but do not expect to go to places found in larger cities like Auerbach and Salzburg. You can find pretty much anything you might want, but depending on your needs, you might need to look for multiple individual shops or ask for advice where to go, though. This is part of the charm, however. Strolling around the city center and popping up in multiple places can also be entertaining. And you might find the selection surprisingly good, especially if you're looking for anything sports related. As being an outdoor area, there are sports equipment or clothing stores often even in the smaller places. Local specialties are hand produced, such as woodcraft or woolen items, and food like local cheeses. Additionally, you might also find some precious stones from the area. Note on the times when shops are open. As in much of Austria in general, the shops are a bit more limited in when and how long they are open if you compare it to Northern or Southern Europe. In short, expect almost everything being closed on Sundays, specialized shops closing around midday on Saturday and at 5 or 6 o'clock on workdays, with a potential pause during the day. Grocery stores such as Billa, Spar, and Hofer have a bit longer opening times without gaps in the opening during the day. If in need of something outside the regular hours, many fuel stations have some basic offering with longer opening times and are also open on Sundays. And one last note, as in many other places in Central Europe, cash is heavily used, so remember to also have some available in case of need. While payment cards are pretty well accepted, you might not be able to buy things from a seasonal market or pay your parking with anything except cash or coins. Or, for example, if you have hiked up to an Alm restaurant on the mountains, you are very unlikely to be able to pay for your well-deserved snack with anything else than cash. It's an area that also lives a lot on tourism. Most towns and villages have some sort of information office or services available for tourists. And if not, then they are usually covered by the nearest slightly larger town or city. An example of this is Mittersill Plus, which is located in Mittersill and covers also nearby Hollersbach and Stuhlfelden. These offices, as well as their websites, provide good starting point to find out information of what to do and where and how to reach it. In addition to outdoor activities, this usually includes local events and traditions that might be happening when you are around. As mentioned earlier, there are plenty of different events taking place around the year, from Christmas markets to local festivities. Also, any local accommodations are a good place to ask for sites or hikes, food recommendations, or for example, the mountain taxis that were mentioned earlier in the video. And there you have it, possible first glimpse to your new favorite region, Pinzgau. If you found the video useful, please give it a like. And also remember to check my other videos for tours on many of the aforementioned places, or even subscribe to the channel to see more of the possibilities around. I will continue to share some of the individual destinations, activities, and things to do, as well as insights and useful knowledge of the region. Thanks for watching and see you around.